The face, if you look at the eyes right now, they're just looking straight ahead. They're very dead. There's no life to this character. So that's what the main goal of Date is going to be, is trying to add that life in there. On top of that, as I was watching it this morning, like literally just a few minutes before the stream, I noticed a few things that I want to change. So I haven't looked at this shot since the last time we animated it, which last time we did all the hand motion. Let's see. So I'll get to that question in just a second. So I haven't looked at it, and when I first looked at it, I noticed a few things that stood out. So I actually just used the grease pencil tool and I wrote down some notes. So for me, writing down notes is often just like marking things down or writing it on a piece of paper. So I just have a few different notes right here. A lot of it's like this one here is this hand pose. One of the big things looking back on the animation that I created with the hands, it's not bad, but I feel like the hands are lazy. It's like the character is just doing this the whole time. So I want to take that first hand pose and close it up, make it a little tighter, so the character transitions a little bit and opens their hands, closes their hands, and makes it more active versus just like flailing their hands around. I don't want that. I want to add a little bit of head tilt. There's a few benbows that I think I forgot to add right here. I'm missing that hand pose right there. It's hidden right behind the leg, so the silhouette isn't reading clearly. There's all sorts of just little things like that. So I'm going to go through that first. Just try to do that quickly, and then we can jump right into the face. Now, how do you make a rig move slower in Maya or faster? You either optimize the scene size, so make sure you don't have extra stuff in here. If you have extra rigs, turn those off, only focus on one or two at a time. If you're in Maya 2020, make sure to use cached playback. That's what's getting me that full-time playback. If I turn that off, I'm actually getting a pretty decent playback here, but cached playback will make sure that it runs even more efficiently. The other thing is make sure your frame rate is set correctly, and in your settings and preferences for animation, make sure that you are set to 24 times 1 playback speed. If you're doing simulation, set it to play every frame. That's going to help. And then the retime tool, yes. So that's the other thing that I want to do today, is I want to retime the animation. The animation is feeling too slow right now. And walk. That's actually a good. If you mean making the rig move faster or slower in terms of actually like making them feel like they move faster visually, it's retiming. So you either increase or decrease your spacing, or increase or decrease your time, how much time something takes. So for example, if I take 1 second to take my hand from here to here, so we go 1/1000, that's going to be that speed. If I go and make that like half the speed, 1/1000, that's faster. Or 1/1000, 2/1000, that's slower. So we increase the time or decrease the time. Or we can increase or decrease the spacing. So in the same second, 1/1000, we can push the spacing, so it's 1/1000, it just barely moves, 1/1000. So it starts and ends in the same second, but in the middle it moved faster. The beginning is slower, moves fast, slower. Technically it still took a second to move, but it looks faster because we just held it longer at the beginning and end. So that's how you make things move faster or slower in animation. You do one of those two or a combination of both. In this case, I want to retime things. I'm going to make some of the timing smaller, because right now this is still that very basic timing I used right at the start, and I haven't had a chance to retime it yet, which you can feel it. It feels very even and flat and not super interesting. So let's just quickly go through here and tweak some stuff. So the first thing I want to tweak is this hand pose, and I'm going to try to do this quickly here because I want to get to the face today. So I'm just going to tweak the hand pose. I want a hand pose kind of like this. So I've got my hand in that pose. I'm using it as a guide. This is something I've mentioned in the past many times, but whenever I'm posing out hands, I like to use my own hands as reference. It makes it a lot easier to get more natural hand poses than if you're just guessing and winging it. So I'm just looking at the angles of my fingers. So looking at the angle of the palm versus the angle of, let's say, the pinky in this case. Kind of try to match that. And then just curl it in. Also make sure that it's actually pointing in the right direction. Yep, right there. Fingers point inwards. If you're just rotating the fingers straight in one axis, your hand poses are never going to look good. Or they're going to look okay. It depends on the rig, but most of the time they're going to be bland. Okay, and let's get that thumb just a little bit more tighter there. There we go. So now that hand is just a little tighter. As it comes through here, the left hand, right hand, there we go. Let's copy that pose over. I can start opening up the fingers a little bit here. Just a little. Maybe drag the thumb just a bit. And then I think I kind of want to have the hand. Yeah, we'll keep it closed and then closed, open on the swing back. So right here. So let's copy that hand pose from frame 5 all the way to about frame 17. Now we have a contrast where the fingers are closed at the beginning. Closed, and then open up. And here I can start to open them up a little bit more, just so we can get some silhouette in those fingers there. Okay. I love Castlevania music. If anyone's seen the new Castlevania trailer, it's epic. I'm so excited for that. It's gonna be so cool. If anyone hasn't seen the Castlevania series, I highly recommend it. It's definitely not for kids. It's very graphic, but beautifully animated. Oh, the fight scenes in there are gorgeous. See, I just downloaded Maya yesterday. Do you know of any great beginner tutorials that go in depth? Beginner tutorials that go in depth. YouTube is a great place to start. There's a few channels on there. I don't know any offhand. But yeah, just kind of checking out YouTube is a great place to start. Let's see. Now, the big thing in terms of tutorials is what are you aiming to do with Maya? So, for example, if you're looking for animation, Sir Wade's channel is a great channel to start with. So you can find the link down below here. Also, Jean Denis, all of those. Those are great resources. If you're looking more for rendering, I would look up the Arnold Autodesk website. Just do a search for Arnold Renderer. And they have a great series of videos and tutorials on how to use Arnold in there. It's just super comprehensive. They even have files you can download to kind of practice with. So you can do that. In terms of rigging, I haven't done any rigging in Maya in a long time. So unfortunately, I don't have too much info on that. But yeah, those are some places to check out. And have I seen Raya and the Last Dragon? Yes, I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. The animation there is just so good. I just want to add a little drag to the head here. I felt like as she's going up, her head didn't... there was no reaction to the head motion there. And I wanted to really get that kind of whoop, that flip of the hair that's going to happen there. And then here, I'm going to hold this, hold this a little stiffer right through there, so that the head doesn't dip down, and then we get the dip here. Okay, and maybe just a little bit there. I'm also going to, eventually, when I start doing the face, make sure that the face isn't looking directly at camera. There's a few times where it does that, and I'm not a fan. But with Raya, yeah, I really loved it. The animation is amazing. I would say my only negative is that I wish the music was just a little bit like, I would have loved to have more music in there. I'm a huge fan of like Disney's, their music in Disney films is so good. And Raya had really nice music, but at the end of the film, I didn't have a song that it's like, oh, it's stuck in my head. I've got this all day. Yay. It just kind of felt like I missed out on that. And maybe I wasn't paying attention to the music, which could be the case. Okay. So here I want to try and swing this arm through. I want to avoid the silhouette between the legs. That's just going to cause a visual pop. But I also want to make sure that the hand doesn't completely disappear. So even just a little bit of that little hint there should help. Animation modeling, but for now, my interface. Okay, so my interface, I believe Maya actually has some really good tutorials. If you go to the help learning path right here, there's some really good videos in there, I believe. It's been a while since I've checked that. Now, of course, it has to open it in Microsoft Edge. Yeah, so right here. So you can go here to tutorials, and there's a whole bunch of things that you can view in here. So go by version, it'll have all sorts of really cool things. So that would be a good place to start. Let's see, could I please get some help on my shot? I'm struggling getting the mechanics right. We can definitely take a look in a little bit. I'm going to just try to get to the face here because we've been waiting for this for like 3 streams. So I want to just make sure I get to that today. But we can definitely try to take a look later on here. Yeah, it would have been a beautiful musical. Even if it wasn't a musical, if it was like Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6 had such a distinct soundtrack. Like whenever you hear a song from there, it's like, oh, Big Hero 6. You just recognize it right away. And Raya, I didn't have, like, it didn't catch me like, ooh, this is a song from Raya. Ooh, nice. I would have liked that. Again, I like music. I like musicals, things like that. So for me, it's not a negative against the film in any way. It's just kind of a personal preference. Let's see. And Roswellek, I can take a look at that in a little bit as well. So let's go through here. What was the other note? Okay. So my note here was, oh yeah. So here, the issue that I'm seeing is that as the hand comes through this way and swipes through, it just feels a little flat. So what I want to do is I want to exaggerate that posing, make it a little bit more dynamic. So maybe have the hand come up a little bit more here. Oops, make sure I'm on the right frame. So whoop, put that up higher. As it comes through, maybe add a little twist to the palm. So we just get that little bit of a swoop in there versus just this flat motion. It's not much, but it should hopefully make this whole thing a little bit more dynamic. And then let's drag it up here. And actually maybe push it a little bit more so we get that drag. And then it'll create a bigger flick backwards here. And actually, let's see if I can push that back here, just out of curiosity. So it drags, and then we get that flick through there. So it should make the hand more active once again. Instead of just the hand staying straight the whole time, we're getting bends and kind of motion through there. I can also push the fingers here. They kind of feel a little straight. So let's just kind of, push them back. Make that hand feel more active. Like she's not just putting her hand out, she's extending her hand. And let's contrast that here by having the fingers a little lower. So she starts low, extends those fingers. Okay. Now the silhouette of the arm here, notice how I'm losing the upper arm. To be fair, actually, let me double check something. It could be just the hair. Yeah, never mind. So, I have to watch that hair. It's going to screw up some of my silhouettes. Once we get the hair animated, it'll be fine. Okay. So it comes through, drags through. I do want to push the silhouette of this arm a little bit. Maybe push that line of action in the arm. Just a little bit right there. And then the fingers, the silhouette wise, are not working too well right now. So I'm going to just try to push that silhouette a little bit more. Something like that. Okay. Now, as she goes through, got that. The arm pose right here is not working too well. Right there. I need to push the benbows. So we did a benbow pass earlier last week, and I just forgot a few poses, basically. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is always nice to double check. It kind of feels weird when some of the poses aren't quite as polished as the others. So just going to round that arm out a little bit. Makes it just a little bit more appealing. Okay, now here, there's this moment here where that hand just kind of and then locks and then like flips backwards here, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of feels a little strange. So I want to try and exaggerate that motion a little bit more. Maybe, let's see, how do I want to do that? I could curl the fingers in here a little bit. Just gonna do a quick test. Make sure I'm on the right frame. So it comes through and then overshoots. Nah, don't like it. The reason I don't like that is I want this quick little flick of the wrist. If anything, I would want to overshoot this a little bit more here, and then the fingers relax there. So we get that overlapping feeling. I think potentially what I can also do here is just try to rotate the wrist a little bit. So we feel that hand starting to rotate into the next pose there, and it keeps it from freezing. Yeah, something like that. And maybe just a tiny bit of rotation in the upper arm here. So we feel that kind of continuing through. I wonder if maybe I can extend this a little lower silhouette-wise. Yeah, that feels a little better too. It keeps the hand away from the face. We were losing all the detail in the fingers right there. So by doing this, we exaggerate the arc of the hand going around, which is not a bad thing. And we get a better silhouette. So, not bad. Let's see, do you watch your animation on timeline to make the notes with blue pencil? You mean, let's see, do you watch your animation on time? Yeah, so for the notes here, I was just like hitting play right here because this rig is fast enough that I don't have to play blast it. For most shots, I will play blast it just to be sure that my speed is correct. And even this, like for timing purposes, I would want to play blast it first and then retime it. I wouldn't want to try and base my timing off of what I get in the viewport, just in case. Yeah. And then the notes here, it's just like quick little doodles. So normally when I'm writing notes, I try to be a little bit more precise, but this was literally like 2 minutes before the stream started. So it was just whatever notes I could write down super quick. What program is it? This is Maya. So Autodesk Maya, which is currently the industry standard for animation, which is really nice. A lot of big studios use this, and it's also just a really good animation program. There's a lot of really cool rigs for it. A lot of free rigs. So, for example, this rig is totally free, even though I do recommend if you are going to download it, give $1 or so. It's well worth it. Let's see. Quick question. Do I need to shape eyelids? Yes. I'm noticing when I do quick face poses, I can't get the exact same shape as my reference. I guess every rig has its own eye shapes. Yeah, you always have to shape the eyelids. That's just something that happens in real life. Our eyelids are not just shutters that go up and down. They are shaped by all sorts of different things. And with a rig, that's very important because the eyelid shape will determine whether the character feels happy, whether they feel sad, whether they feel tired. There's a lot of different factors that will go in there and really help to exaggerate your motion. So, for example, let's say you've got a default rig and the eye shape, usually for most rigs, is kind of this default form here, which is okay. It's kind of round at the top and you just kind of get that. Not bad, but sometimes it's not super interesting. So for example, if I want to make the character like really excited, if you just open this up a little bit more and just kind of round that out, so same shape basically, and just kind of round that out, okay, that's a little bit more excited, more open. But wouldn't it be more interesting if suddenly the eye shape got a little steeper as well, right there on the top, and then the bottom kind of opened up here? So already you can see that looks a little bit more shocked and excited because it's really pulling up. That peak is a little higher than just this round shape there. So let's actually kind of add a pupil in here. So like suddenly that feels a lot more shocked. Just add that so we know the direction of the eye. Let's say we want to make a character feel tired. When you just take an eyelid by default and you don't shape it, when you try to make the character really feel tired, what's going to end up happening is the eyelid is going to be so low here that you're just going to see a little bit of that pupil, and then you're going to get something like this. Actually, not even. You're going to start getting zombie eyes because the eyes are going to have to be so low here that you're not going to see any pupil. It's just going to be this kind of like dead look to it. Instead, you want to shape the eye by pushing the corners up. So if you push the corners up here, see how they line up with the lower edge right there of the eye, of the pupil in this case? You would move these up so that they line up higher. And then that tired eye suddenly allows you to shape the lid very flat up top. You can kind of shape that bottom edge a little bit, and you get something like this. So you get that really like tired, like ugh expression, because the eyelid corners are actually higher than they were before. So you can round that out a little bit more. It also helps you to stylize your characters. So for example, if you look at Disney characters, especially like Disney characters from the 90s, although this carries on through to a lot of Disney characters, their default eye shape is not usually perfectly round. They kind of have a 3-line system where they have a line, it goes through, a line here, so you get that very sharp indication line there, and then you have the bottom lid here. So you can shape the eye, and it makes a totally different character just by that shape. So you could make, maybe by moving the back corner a little bit, you could make more of a cat-like almond eye. Something like that. And that's all shaping the eye. So shaping the eyes, very, very important. I've actually done a lot of demos on stream. They should still be up on, if you go to the videos page, on posing the face and posing eyes in general. And how to shape those and really keep them on character. So even with this rig, when we start posing the face, which is going to be in just a little bit, we're going to be posing those eyes and really like shaping them. We're not just moving the pupils, we're shaping the lids, going to really try to push this to be super appealing. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Let's see. I've been trying to track the arc of the nose on the AM Stewart rig. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a control on his nose, and I don't know how to apply a motion trail. I've been trying to parent a sphere to his nose to track, but I'm not sure if it's possible to parent a sphere to the rig's mesh in this way. You can definitely do that. So let's say I need to track a character's nose in this case, but I don't have a control to track it. You can use a sphere, you can use anything. I like to use locators just because they're basically placeholder objects and they're easy to kind of differentiate from set pieces and whatnot. So I can take a locator and I can just place it like right in front of the nose. The exact positioning doesn't have to be perfect, but right there. And I can do a few different things. I could just parent it to the head. So I'll take the locator, then the head, and hit P to parent it. Or I can constrain it. So take the head control, then the locator, go to my animation menu set, and go to constrain, parent, make sure maintain offset is turned on. That'll lock it in place. Now that locator is following the nose, and I can track it. Now, in order to track it, it needs to have animation on it. That's the key point, whether it's parented or constrained. So once I have this, I'm just going to take the locator, hit S to set a key, make sure the constraint is still turned on there. And now I can go to visualize, create editable motion trails, and that should give me the trail right there. And looking at that, I definitely need to adjust my arc right here. There's something going on. But there you go. So it's constrain or parent, and then you need to set a key. If there's no key, there's no animation for it to track. And then you can use the Maya editable motion trails, or you can use the Animbot if any of you have that. But yeah, you can just track that point, and you can do this for anything. So if I need to track the tip of a finger, put a locator there, constrain it, and then I can track the very tip of the finger, that specific point. So hopefully that helps. Let's take a look at this. I just want to double check that the animation feels better. I think it does. Very small changes, but now the hands don't look like they're just flailing around randomly. Yeah, the setting a key part, that's the thing that usually throws people off. I remember it threw me off a lot when I was a student. Because it's moving. It's like it's animated, it's going along, but technically it's it can't be tracked because it's not actually animated. It's just moving. So, yeah, set that key and you should be all good. Now, I just noticed something on the side view here feels a little poppy. I think it's like right here. That head almost feels like it snaps back too much. I kind of want to bring it back here and then have it drag forward. Add a little bit more weight to that head because it's so big. Yeah, something like that. That feels a little better. There's still kind of a hitch in there. Right here. Okay. It's better for now. I'm not going to worry too much about it. I can polish curves up a little bit. There's kind of a sharp change in direction right here that I definitely want to clean up. It looks like it's my rotate Y of the hips right there. Since I've called it out, let's clean it up. Can't be lazy. Darn it. Okay. So right here. No, not the hips. Maybe it's the spine. Right there. So I'm just trying to figure out if it's the spine. I think it's a little bit of the spine and then the head. Okay, so I'm just trying to ease that through. I want the body to lead, and then the head comes through. Create that nice offset in there. We're definitely getting a little wobble in the curve here. That arc. Then let's see. I'm not going to get too caught up on this. Or else I'm going to be here all day polishing. We don't want that. We need to get the face started. But I think I've addressed all the main notes that I had on this section here. I need to do the face, but we can at least do, or sorry, we need to do the timing, but I can at least do the head animation, the face animation first. Start getting that in there. Okay. The head kind of snapped a little too much right there. Ease that a little bit more. Okay. So, with that, double check. Nothing's really standing out. Okay. So, and Mr. Johan, hey, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, so Jack, you can track vertices with a Animbot arc tracker as well. So, if you want, if you have Animbot, you can use that. I usually track controls. That's just what I'm used to, but this one does track vertices, which is really nice because then you can track any point, which is wonderful. Let's see. What do you think about this comparison? Blender versus Maya? Because Blender is 100% free. For beginners is okay? Oh yeah, definitely. Blender is a great program. It's an absolutely amazing program. Honestly, like Maya and Blender, they're both fantastic. They're both really good programs. And just based on the program, if you don't take price in, I would say they're comparable. Some things Maya does better, something Blender does better. Blender is free, which is amazing. Already that puts it really high up because, hey, if you're a student, you don't have to pay a lot of money and try to you don't have to pay a lot of money to try and learn something and hopefully like it. So that is huge. That is wonderful. As an animator, Blender is not as powerful as Maya, specifically because Maya has so many good tools. You've got Animbot, you've got Studio Library, you've got Blue Pencil. Well, technically I wouldn't put that in because Blender has a great grease pencil tool. It's amazing. You've got all sorts of plugins, Overlapper, all of these things. You've got rigs, tons and tons of free rigs. Like this rig right here, totally free. It's amazing. It's super powerful. There's so many good free rigs. With Blender, there's a few rigs, which some of them are okay. I would say like of the rigs I've tried in Blender, there was only like one or two that I actually really enjoyed playing around with. A lot of them I find just not super appealing, or there's no rigs that kind of like work together. So you have one rig that might be really good, but then no other rig matches them. So it's very hard to make a scene with two characters when there's no characters that look the same, like they would be in the same world. So as an animator, it's very limited at the moment. It will change, but that's one of the limitations right now. So I like using Maya, because I have so many options. And do you think you can get a Maya animation job with a Blender animated demo reel? Yeah, definitely. That doesn't matter at all. So for example, I'm using Maya. I have a Maya reel. But Disney doesn't use Maya. They use Presto. DreamWorks doesn't use Maya. They use Primo. Those are both programs that those studios made for themselves. Well, technically, Pixar made Presto, but now Disney uses that. So, do I need to learn those programs first before I get hired? No, I couldn't even if I wanted to, because the studios have them. I'll only ever use them when I get hired. So, some studios use 3ds Max, some use Houdini, some use Cinema 4D. As long as you know how to animate, that's all that matters. So regardless of the program you use, it's what's on your demo reel. How good is your animation? And honestly, learning different programs, once you learn how to animate, learning different programs is not that hard. It takes maybe a week or two, and then you're right off, like, back into full animation swing of things. So yeah, definitely it's not a big like, oh, you've got to do it or else you're not gonna get a job. No, use whatever program you like. Did I try the new waitress rig? I don't think so. I'll have to look that up. And Marissa, hello. So are you working in any studios right now? No, I'm doing freelance animation right now, and working at Animation Mentor as well. So just kind of bouncing around a lot at the moment. Let's see. Is it okay if can you share reference with use? I want to see it. Oh, I'm just using some images for this. I actually don't have. Do I have them open anymore? I don't think so. At this point, I'm kind of just doing what I feel looks best. So I just found some images. Like, I think I looked for just well, what did I Google? I just did a search for like what was it, like TikTok dances or something like that. something something along those lines, and just found some like images of cool dances that I really wanted to create. So it was just finding those images and then try to push them a little bit. I'll have to see if I can find those images. I should still have them on my computer, but they're not in my folder. We've got the Play Blast. Yeah. Somewhere on my computer. Hidden away. Locked in the vaults. Okay. Gumroad Rig is by Santiago Cali. Okay, I'll have to check that out. And how did you make an animation using just images? It's basically just get the poses that you want and then add the breakdowns. It's actually a test that I'll do once in a while. Is I'll create 2 poses, for example, or maybe sometimes 3, and then try to animate between them, and just try to figure out what the body mechanics would be in between those poses. It's a nice little exercise. I definitely recommend that once you get used to animation. Don't do it like early on. In the beginning, really try to focus on studying your reference, analyzing your reference, understanding the body mechanics. But once you get some experience and kind of want to push yourself, it's a good way to start going more into the cartoony world, because now you're starting to create breakdowns still based on your knowledge of animation and body mechanics, but you're not locked into what reference is showing you. Okay, so let's turn on the facial controls here. Okay, now I would like it if these controls were separate from the body controls. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's the case. Let's double check. Eye primary, eye secondary, no. Okay. We definitely want the eyelid primary controls. Brows on, yes. Lip controls, yes. Eyelid secondary. We'll turn those on for now. I'll definitely need the mouth controls. And I don't think I'll really need the miscellaneous face controls, but I'll turn them on anyway. Okay. So let's take all of this, and I'm just going to create a selection set for this. So create sets, quick select set, and we'll call this face. There we go. And I'm just going to make sure I set a key at the beginning on all of these controls. So let's get a nice facial pose in here. Body controls. Boop. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I really want to get the eyes to be expressive. And as I play through this shot, I just want to kind of think of how am I going to animate this face so that it feels like it goes somewhere. So for example, at the end, what pose do I want? Where do I want her to be looking? Do I want her to be pointing up and looking forward? So for example, pointing down here, and already you can see how much the character feels more alive. Do I want her to be looking up at her finger, like in that direction? Do I want her to be looking at the audience? I'm thinking maybe towards the audience because it's kind of the finale. So maybe not directly to camera, but kind of offset from camera, like right around here. I think that could be interesting. Otherwise, anywhere else I kind of point other than the finger is just going to feel random, I think. And I could point up to the finger, but then it feels like she's trying to point at something versus just gesturing. So I'm just going to get generally where the eyes are going to be positioned. And I'm going to set this so that the eyes are no longer following the head. I want them to follow the world. So, world, and then we're going to take this attribute and set it, okay, 3. So, boop. It's going to ruin the eyes throughout the whole shot. Ugh. The horror. What have we done? But now this will allow us to position these eyes and get a little bit more control over them for the type of animation I want right here. Okay, so if she stops the shot and comes up, looks at the audience. At the beginning, how can we push this? So if she's going to go screen right here, I think it would be cool to have her actually looking where she's about to go. This way, as an audience, we're kind of guided right from the start. This should be set to world. Why was it not? Okay. So right from the start, we're kind of guided in the direction that we're going to be going. So right there. And then this is going to be very weird for a little bit here as we get the eyes readjusted. And what I'm doing here is I'm animating one eye. I'm looking at, in this case, the screen right eye. And I want that one to be essentially the goal of all of this. I'll actually move this a little further away. And then the other eye I'll put into place afterwards. This way I'm not trying to animate both at the same time and trying to get a lot of extra work in there. So let's copy this over. Well, actually, let's actually get this first pose. I want to make this just a little bit better. So we kind of bring that eye out there. Get that eye direction. So this is very quick. I just want eye direction so I know where I can shape my character. Now, as we come through here on this pose, the eyes are probably going to be going the other way now. So let's push that. This way. Something like that. Okay, oops, wrong frame. Okay. So I wonder if this rig is going to be easier to animate outside of world mode. The eyes are because they're so big, I have a lot of control. Like any little motion I do, you can see how much it changes it. Usually it's a little bit more fine-tuned than that. So, which is not a bad thing. This is not negative against the rig in any way. It's just some rigs control differently. And this one, I'm wondering how that's going to really affect a lot of these motions here, if I'm not careful. Let's see. So, yeah. So you can see here, I haven't moved the eye, so she's looking screen left. Wait. That's the pose I'm looking for. Yeah. So here she's looking screen left, and then by the time she gets here, it's just screwed up her eyes. Okay, let's try this a different way. Try to make this a little easier on ourselves. The biggest thing I want to make sure is that I'm not fighting the animation. That's always the worst thing that you can do, is just trying to take your animation and fighting it every single step of the way. So we're gonna keep this on head here. I don't usually do that, but now the eyes at least should have more focus. And let's see what we can do here. Oh, and what happened? What happened? Maya is frozen. Interesting. Let me see if I can save. Okay. See. Do you think dance animations are good as showreel pieces? Yeah. Any animation is good as long as it's well animated. Like, that's the big thing. I will say the only negative about dance animations is that they aren't great for learning when you first start out. Not that they're terrible, but dance animations, they're very specific. Interesting. My viewports are not updating. Okay. Let me... Gonna just try to reopen the scene, see if that makes a difference. Otherwise, I might have to just restart Maya. But dance animations, the only negative is that when you're first learning, they are very specific. They are choreographed motion, which means they are not how we move naturally. They are exaggerated. And when you're trying to learn body mechanics early on, I've seen it lead people kind of astray on what they think body mechanics should do and how body mechanics should move. So, okay, yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to restart Maya. Okay, let me jump to full screen here while we close things off and start Maya again. Not sure what happened there, but we can answer some questions while we do this. Let's see. So yeah, dance animations can lead people astray and make it feel like what's the right word? Make it feel like the body mechanics that you're learning should be applied everywhere, and they shouldn't. They are very specific to that one dance. The same thing goes for exaggerated acting shots, where you'll see certain shots where like people take reference from a film and they are looking at this reference, especially like exaggerated, like Jim Carrey or something like that. He's great to look at and analyze, but he doesn't move the way normal people move. It's very exaggerated. It's a performance. It's like looking at a magician. A magician doesn't move the way a normal human does. They are exaggerating things. Is that a bad thing? No. But when we're trying to learn how people move at the normally, naturally, it can throw you off. And thanks for the drink. Hey, Jacom, how's it going? And Joshua, hello. So yeah, in terms of dance, great. Definitely feel free to add a dance number in your reel if you want to. Dances are fun to animate, especially if you get the rhythm to them. Really nice. The animation bingos are a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying those. It's fun just to kind of hang out and talk about animations, go over some critiques and stuff. It's really cool. And Brent's always fun to hang out with. Maya's finally starting up again. It's taking a while. And let's see, any self-care this week? What can we talk about in terms of self-care? Well, one thing that I would recommend is, oh, you're taking a class with Brent? Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, he's a super fun guy. And he knows his stuff. For anyone who doesn't know Brent, he works at Agora. He also works at, I forget which school. It's Anim School? Why did I forget? One of those. And he's really nice. Just amazing guy. I definitely recommend iAnimate. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, because they have the really good game workshop. So yeah, if anyone wants to check him out, definitely check out his stream. Eventually I'm gonna link it down there when I remember, and I need to put the link down. But if you just Google Agora, you'll find the community there. And how's my back? My back's pretty good. Basically back to normal. Back to normal. At this point, it's just kind of keep making sure it doesn't stiffen back up again, which is not too hard. And let's see. Yeah, so kind of just in the self-care thing, since we were just about to go on there, I just want to remind people, take time for yourself. If you need to, take a break. Just get away from things. So I actually had to do this week. There's been a lot of things going on, a lot of like just losses and stuff like that happening in the family. And earlier this week, there was a day where it's just like I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't work, my brain was like mush. It just wouldn't concentrate on what I needed to do. So I just went, okay, I'm taking the day off. I'm just gonna lie down on a couch, read a book, and just let myself go through what I need to go through. I'm not going to force myself to work when I can't even focus. I'm going to take the time for me to decompress, to just be me, and to go through all of those negative emotions, all of those like thoughts, process them properly, and not stress myself out. That is hugely important. It's not something that everyone has the what's the word I'm looking for? The option to do. So if you have to work at a 9-to-5 job, you can't go, I'm not going in today. No. You can just sometimes you have to go. But then when you get back, take that time for yourself if you can. If you've got assignments, let's say you're an animation mentor, for example, and you've got assignments and they're due. You can let your mentor know, like, hey, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff. Could I possibly just get an extension? You don't want to make this a habit, but once in a while, it's okay to just ask for help and go, hey, like things happened this week. My car almost exploded. I had to do a whole bunch of work, had to prep some other stuff. It's like, can I just let a little bit of a break, just a small extension, something, and just take that time for yourself. If you're an animation mentor, for example, most mentors they know what that going through that kind of stuff is like, and it's going to be like, yeah, take a little bit more time for yourself. Or maybe instead of submitting like your whole assignment, you're only going to submit half the assignment this week and go, I'll catch up next week. I just really need that time right now for me, and to regroup yourself. That is really good. If I hadn't done that, just from past experience when I did used to do that, and I would just push and push and push and push, and it's like, well, I'm not feeling great. Who cares? Let's keep working. I would have burnt out. Like by the weekend here, I would have just been dead on my feet. I wouldn't be in a good place. So I took that time for myself. I made sure to go through what I was feeling and think through it. Don't let those initial emotions like start getting to you. So for example, like this week, the big things I was feeling was like, none of the stuff I'm doing it's worthwhile. I don't feel like I'm good enough. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I should be doing more. I should be like all those things that we all go through as animators, as artists. We all go through that kind of like, we're not good enough. We need to be better. Our animations could be better. What we're doing could be better. We should be doing more. We should be learning more. I should be learning how to draw. I should be learning how to sculpt. I should be learning how to do this and that and this and that. And it just reached that point where like my brain was bouncing around everything and I couldn't focus on what I was doing. So take that time. Just allow yourself to think through it properly instead of reacting and just constantly bouncing around and hoping it'll get better. But it won't. It'll just keep bouncing around in there until you take that time to process it and think through it and try to address it. How can you make a game plan to do the things you want? Is it really what you want to do? What's your goal in life? What's the big thing that you want to do? And another thing, do you want to do it, or do you just enjoy looking at it. So for example, for me, I like art. I like you can see, I've got lots of artwork on my computers and whatnot. I want to draw, but at the same time, I don't want to be an artist. I don't want to make pictures like that. I would love to be able to draw, but it's more of a hobby. Well, if that's the case, why am I putting so much pressure on myself to be a professional artist and get to that high level of drawing if I never really want to do that in the first place? I'm just putting extra stress on myself to do something that it's not an end goal for me. It's not a dream of mine. I like animation, I like sculpting. But why am I putting so much pressure on drawing? Well, I don't have to. And like that's the whole process. Like at the beginning of the day, my brain was just like, "Oh, you need to start drawing. You need to do all your like gesture drawings every day and anatomy practices and this and that. Get back into it." And by the end of the day, it's just like, "No, I don't have to. I can if I want to and if I have time. But I don't have to." And I took that time to think about it and kind of restructure my days and what I want to do to focus on the actual things that are important: family, taking care of the people around me, all of that, and then building up the other important things and kind of refocusing. So take that time for yourself, that self-care, that just being there for yourself, being a friend to yourself is very important. The worst thing you can do is just kind of push, keep going, and eventually you're just going to burn out, and you're not going to be helpful to anyone. You're just going to be a tired mess, and it's not going to be fun. It's going to be horrible. So take that time for yourself. So you couldn't agree more. It's always good to get reminded that, especially when we feel we always have to be productive. Yeah, you don't always have to be productive. It's one of those things where we can rest. We can take a break, especially on the digital world now. Like artists have a huge pressure of you always have to be posting on social media. You have to keep like new thing, build up your audience, build up your following, more. It's like with Twitch. I don't do anything on Twitch in terms of let's optimize our SEO, let's bring in new followers, let's get this community, like I want more subscribers, I want more followers, gotta hit my follower goals. Yeah, nah. I don't do that because I know it would stress me out. I don't do this for a job, I don't do this for a living. I do this because I like it, because it's fun. And if people choose to follow along, great, yay. If I turn this into a job, it's not going to be fun for me anymore. So prioritize those things again for yourself. If you like to draw, but you don't want to do it for a living, don't approach it as if it has to be a living. Because suddenly you're not going to have fun doing it. It's a hobby for you. It's a way to de-stress, not add more stress. So whatever it is, you want to work on that and think through that. Take that time for yourself. This is so much relatable, especially due to the second wave hitting my country. Yeah, it's especially with everything going on in the world. It's take that time for yourself. Take that time to just breathe, get some rest, like take care of yourself. If you're stressing out, you won't be helpful to anyone, like if you need to help someone. So yeah, be kind to yourself. So yeah, the self-care section of the day. But now that Maya's back, let's get back into the facial pose here. So what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to just try to keep this on the head follow, just because I found that, at least on this rig, the global follow, because of the size of the eyes, it doesn't work quite as well. Now, another thing that I want to try here is I kind of want to keep the eyes a little bit more centered. So you'll see I'm kind of bringing them a little bit more kind of cross-eyed. The reason for that is it's going to make the character feel a little bit more cute. So if you look at Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph, Vanellope von Schweetz, she's a little cross-eyed. When you have characters with big eyes like this, it can help to make them just a little bit more adorable. If you start spreading out the eyes like this, because of the size, it really makes this big shift. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, but it's something to be aware of. It just changes the dynamic. So let's kind of do another thing. I'm going to hide the hair just so we can see the face properly and we're not getting any hair getting in the way. So, oh, I need to make my controls here. Once again, make that selection set. So take that, create, sets, quick select set, face, add to shelf. There we go. Now I can quickly set a key. Okay. So here, the big thing I want to do is I want to give some directionality to the face. So directionality is essentially, let's actually zoom in here so we can see this a little bit better. Directionality is essentially, bring our toolbox here, getting some contrapposto and a line of action in the face. So right now, if you look at the elements of the face, and let's make a new layer here. Okay, so whoop, flat, 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 flat. Everything's flat, and then whoop, flat. That is boring. That makes the face uninteresting. So instead, we want to push that contrapposto, that line of action. So in this case, we're going to push the face so that it accentuates where she's looking. We're going to open up the face this way. So the brows, I'm going to exaggerate this here, are going to be high on that side. The eye is going to be a little bit more open. And then the mouth is going to dip down this way. That's going to help push that contrapposto and then help exaggerate the line of action in the face right there. So that's going to be the goal of this. Now let's work on the brows. So I could use the global control here, but I think I might just use the individual controls just for a little bit more control here. So I want her to kind of feel happy. That's just a simple happy dance. So gonna push the brows here. Get that nice roundness to them. Already you can see how that's adding a lot of directionality to the face. Just rounding that out. And I'm trying to push the eye mask of the character. The eye mask is how the brows connect to each other. I want them to feel like there's a flow to them and not that they are like totally disconnected like this, where they're just totally separate. Okay, let's go to the eyes. So this is the first time I'm using this rig, so I'm kind of learning which controls I'm going to need to use to shape all of this as I go. So let's open this eye up a little bit more. Let's close that one just a little bit. And this is where shaping can really help. So what I want to do is I want to shape the eye so it feels like the pupil. Our eye has a lens over top. The lens of the eye is right where the pupil is, the iris, and it's a bump of the eye. And I want that to feel like as the eye moves, it's actually adjusting the eyelid a little bit. So we get this kind of rounder edge up here, and then on the inner eye here is going to push it up this way. So it's just going to help shape that eye a little bit more. Kind of get that roundness on the top. Right through there. The bottom of the eyelid is kind of flat right now. If she's dancing and smiling, there's going to be let's see, there and there. It's going to be a little higher. That'll make it feel like she's kind of got a little bit more of a smile to her. We can kind of push this one up just a little bit more, so one eye is a little bit more open than the other. Let's see if I can round out that shape just a little bit. It's not bad the way it is, but I feel like it's just a little flat on the bottom. So I want to try and just round out that corner just a bit. So something like that for now. Okay. And then the mouth. The big thing with the mouth is mouths are very rarely just centered right in the face. So I'm going to take the main mouth control, which I believe is this one, and move the mouth over and then rotate it. Look at that. How suddenly there's this line of action to the face. Instead of just being flat and dead, it's dynamic and interesting. Now, I could move the chin. I don't know if I want... I probably should, but I'm going to try to see what controls I have for that. You probably... Yeah, let's do the jaw here. Let's see. Okay. I kind of want an open mouth, mostly because I really like the design of the mouth, the interior colors. I want to see if I can get a nice appealing open mouth pose. So let's kind of just add this nice smile, and it's not going to be like she's singing or anything like that. It's mostly just going to be just kind of open mouth smile, kind of yay, like that. So bottom teeth, I don't want to see. I want to keep that nice and simple. Let's shape that mouth. Nice simple form. So at the bottom, I want it to be nice and just a nice arc. The top is going to be nice and tight. So it's basically going to be a straight-ish line. Okay. How far do I want to push this? Let's see if we can add just a little curl to the mouth corners. Actually, let's try to avoid too many rotations on different controls and push this here. So something like that. And then I'm going to take the top teeth and rotate them in place. So normally teeth don't move, but when we're posing for animation, rotating the teeth and kind of putting them in place, it allows you to exaggerate the mouth a lot more. So I just want this nice little kind of, just a hint of teeth right there. Not perfectly centered, but just something like that. And suddenly it just looks a little bit more appealing. So something like this. Now, normally I would also be trying to push the facial pose on the 3/4. Because this is a 2D style rig, I'm not going to try to push this too much here. If I do, I think I'm going to start losing some of the appeal of the face. So I'll push it a little bit here, but I'm being very careful that I don't affect the overall visual design of the camera view here. Okay. Let's kind of shape this a little more. Maybe just a little rounder right on that side. Okay. So that is a little bit more interesting than that. Okay. So a good start. We can kind of push it a little bit more later on. Once we kind of know where we're going. I kind of want to raise this. I want a little bit of white under that eye there. And then maybe, let's just see. Lower that. Yeah. Yeah, it straightens it out a little bit. Okay. Any tips on how to avoid over-animating a character? Over-animating a character is not necessarily a bad thing. If you're over-animating a character, it's that's actually what I tend to recommend students do. Push a character further than you need to and then tone them down. So if you find that you're consistently over animating characters, try to one of the big things that over animating tends to feel like is the character's always moving. It's just moving. So let the character, when they hit a pose, hold a little bit and then go. Try to push those holds, really build those into your animation. Try to really focus on that element. It's tricky at first, but once you can get those holds in there, it makes a big difference. Holds, as much as animators, our job is to animate a character and have them moving. What really adds appeal is when a character doesn't move at times. The pose is what they pay for, not the motion. Yeah, exactly. Everything comes down to the pose. Motion is just a way of describing something. But by having a character hold a pose and then really sell it and then move out of it, it builds contrast. It builds a dynamic feeling to the shot. So for example, as the character's dancing here, there's moments like right there where as the character's going, they're really holding that pose. They're just doing this. They're still moving technically, but they're holding, and then comes through, and then we hold a little bit right here, and then it goes through again. So there's moments of holding a pose, which I could even exaggerate a little bit more, but that's what's really going to help sell that overall motion. If it's always moving, just everything's moving constantly, we're never going to have a moment to read something. Let's see. Just catching up with the chat there. Okay. So let's push this pose here. So I have a few choices. She's changing her eye direction. So I could, oops, that's the eyelid. I could change the brows so that they kind of open up a little bit more this way. Or I can choose to keep them the other way. So we don't get the big, like a big switch in the brows. One side, then the other. Every time I try to think about it, my brows don't work correctly. One side, then the other. We could do that switch, but I'm not sure if it's necessary. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to try to pose out the mouth and see where that leads us. Because the mouth, I think it'll look pretty good if we kind of bring it over here. Like, kind of bring it right over there. Really push that line of action to the face there. And actually, this reminds me, I translated the mouth here. I forgot that this rig is better to rotate the mouth. So, the other thing is I also forgot to move it up a little bit more, because when you smile, your mouth goes up. Oops, wrong control. Mouth control. There you go. Curl that down so we get that nice round shape to the teeth there. Also, I need to remember, I think I'm posing it on the wrong frame there. Okay. So set a key on everything and let's start posing. So the teeth, let's hide that. Bottom teeth, I'm probably not going to see these in the whole shot, so I'm going to keep that off the whole time. Good. Let's see. Yeah, she does kind of look like the Angrig a little bit without the hair. Just need that tattoo. So let's take this, let's push the mouth corner a little bit. Really exaggerate that. Okay, now I have to ask myself, do I want to keep the mouth a little bit open here? Or do I want to close it? So she starts open right there, and then she closes it here. I think maybe we'll see. We'll see how it feels. I'm not really working on any reference here. I'm just kind of going on appeal and just, what do we feel like doing? Okay, the mouth is getting a little distorted. We're getting a little bit of a issue right there. So I'm going to just pull this back a little bit. And then let's just round out that mouth. So top shape I want really nice and kind of flat, and then the bottom is going to be a little rounder. And let's see if we can kind of push that a little bit. So just get that asymmetry in the line of the mouth. So something like that. Now it kind of looks a little weird, mostly because the tongue is in the wrong spot. So is there a global tongue control? This one? Okay, good. So I'm going to just take the tongue, kind of move it into place here. With 2D shots like this, it's a lot of just shaping it to be what it needs to be. And then let's get those teeth in there. So something like that. I kind of want that little gap in the tooth there to be visible. So something like that. Okay. Getting there. From the front, it's all messed up, or all these sides. Let's see. Do you usually animate the master control of the brows? Not usually. Most of the time I try to animate the individual ones, unless I'm doing something where I know there's going to be a lot of very big brows up and down. But even then, I just find it tends to be nicer to animate all of these because I'm going to animate them anyway. So why add an extra control that I have to deal with? So let's round this out here. Okay. So we're going to keep the brows this way so we keep that contrapposto in the face. And then let's push the eye shapes a little bit. So this eye is going to be just a little lower. That way we get that nice contrast in both eyes. This one's just going to be a little bit more open. So we get that nice contrapposto in the face. The mouth is not quite in the position I want. Okay. I kind of want to raise it higher. It feels a little too low. But then I'm getting that little pinching right there. Okay. I'll have to come back to that a little bit. We'll refine it in just a bit. Let's get the eyes kind of working here. So for the eyes, the big thing is if she's looking in this corner, I want this eyelid to kind of push in here a little bit. It'll help give the feeling that the eye is actually looking in that direction. It'll create that connection between the eyelid and the rest of the eye. Let's raise that up there. This case, I'm raising this up, which technically you'd want to lower that as they're looking over. But if she's smiling, that's going to push the eyelid up a little bit. You're going to get that crinkle in the brow, or in the lid, the crow's feet right there. So I'm going to try to raise that up a little bit, and then also just raise up the corner here just a little bit. And then same thing here. Just kind of get that tightness in the eyes there. The face is so messed up here. Like, that should be way back in there. Let's kind of clean it a little bit. It's still going to be messed up, but That's fine. Let's see. Okay. So we've got that pose and that pose. Let's see, maybe I could close the mouth just a little bit here. Let's see. Let's go around there. Okay, so we've got those poses in there. Let's find our next pose. Okay, so there. Yeah, that one's definitely going to need some work. There's something off with the eyes. Let's kind of close that a little bit. That eye was a little too open. And maybe kind of flatten it out a little. And then let's go to the end here, because I definitely want this. This is going to be our last pose, the big moment here. That needs to have a really solid pose. So we're going to go through here. Select the face, set a key. Let's actually save. It's always good to save your work. Let's see. Oh, did Epic just buy ArtStation? Wow. That's going to be interesting. I wonder what if it's going to change in any way. I honestly don't check ArtStation too often, but that's going to be a big change. It's a big part of the internet. Okay. So we've got that beginning pose here. So she goes through, and then here, do I want her to look at the audience? That's what we were talking about earlier, which definitely kind of gives a little bit more of that. Let's get this here. Oh, on control. This one. It gives us 3 different points to look at, so she's not just looking left, right, left. Or technically screen right, screen left, screen right. But do I want that? Is that going to be the most appealing thing? Let's see what happens with the brows. We're going to just push the brows here a little bit. Get that happy expression in there. We're going to try to keep that line of action in the face, same as we had before. That way it doesn't change. Actually, I think I do want to change at some point. Let's see. Let's just try the other way, just for the sake of it. Give it a try. So I'm just gonna try raising this one a little bit more, and let's just do it globally so it's a little faster. Oop. I always forget it's the white one. So raise this, and then this. And then, yeah, mouth on this side. Yeah, that's gonna feel better. Because we're seeing more of the face here, if I were to push the mouth this way, it's gonna feel kind of empty. But if I push it this way, it's just gonna feel much bigger, and we can really push the mouth expression there. Like this I want the big happy expression. This is gonna be the biggest moment here. Now, the question here is, do I want that expression to be a big smile or kind of open mouth like we had before? Gotta think. Let's just try what we had before. So take those teeth, whip. Gotta move them down. Let's move that tongue. Okay. So something like that. Push the smile. Okay. Yeah, let's really push that smile in there. Really push that jaw in there. So something along these lines. We can refine it a little bit later, get the exact shaping. This definitely needs to be a little bit more smile here. So let's kind of roll that up a little bit. Let's focus those eyes a little bit more. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross the eyes. It'll make her feel just a little cuter. So something like that. Can I push the jaw even more? Let's see. Yeah, maybe a little bit. So normally what I'll do is if I feel like oh man, am I pushing myself enough? Just open the, in this case, the mouth really wide and then bring it back and see at what point, like, oh yeah, that feels pretty good. I wonder if we can even push it this far. We'll give it a try. If it's too far, we can always pull it back. There's no harm in going too far. Unless the rig starts to break, which then, yeah, definitely pull it back. Now let's kind of push the eyes here a little bit. I want to open them up a little bit more at the end. Really make her feel excited. This is not a tired dance. This is an excited, energetic dance. So really push those eyes here. The face is so messed up when you look at it from a different angle. And then let's kind of get that brow in there a little bit more. Okay. So something like that for now. We can refine the shapes more as we go along. But for now, this is a good start. Let's push those corners up. Get that feeling of the smile. Okay, and then the corners as well. Just a little. Okay. Oh, and the thing I also forgot is that mouth has to go up. Let's see how far I can push it. So this is a little too low. It takes away from the smile. If she's gonna smile, her mouth has to go up. As long as I don't get this crunch in there. Okay. So let's kind of push this here. And then let's see, let's check the chat. Do you animate? Okay, we went over that. Oh, take care, Mr. Johan. I missed that earlier, but I hope you're doing. I hope you have a great day. I assume you use storyboards. Sometimes I'll use storyboards. For this shot, I just, I honestly didn't do much planning for it, which is not a good thing. You want to make sure you do your planning for your shots. If you're just jumping in without any planning, you're gonna run into issues, which you can kind of see that I'm running into here, where like I'm not sure which direction to go. I'm just kind of making it up as we go along. Is that a bad thing? Not totally, but it's not ideal because I'm wasting time. If this was a production environment, I wouldn't want to do that because I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting the director's time, I'm wasting the supervisor's time. For my own shot, okay, fine. But we almost always want to have some sort of plan, some sort of idea of what we're going for. Otherwise, it's more hassle than it's worth. Let's kind of raise this corner up here a little bit. I want to try and flatten that line of the top of the mouth a little bit. So something a little bit more like that. Okay, we'll go with something like that for now. It's definitely going to change. As we kind of push the shapes a little bit more. But now we have that. Okay, so looking at it here, the big thing I'm noticing, now that I've got the 3 main poses, is the last pose, it doesn't feel big enough. I feel like it could be kind of a little bit more. Like if this is the grand finale, this should be the biggest expression. She should like explode into this moment here. So I'm going to push the brows up so we really feel that change. I'm going to have to watch this. The hairline should fix that. So push this up a little bit. Let's maybe see if we can push the eyes a little bit more. Just a little. So, blit. Okay. Beginning. Maybe we'll push the brows down just a bit to contrast. So not have the brows go quite so high at the beginning. That way, at the end, they're just a little, they feel a little bit more excited. Let's push those inner corners up as well. So something like that. And then compare that pose to this pose. Okay. I'm gonna try lowering the brows even more here. So this way we have kind of this change where, oops, this control, yeah. So it goes down, then up. So it almost acts like an anticipation. And we're not just sticking to the same pose. See, should I use Animbot or can I do without? You can do without. I almost never use Animbot. I should, because I have it and I've paid for it. But I almost never use it, mostly because I teach a lot of classes that people don't have it. And I don't want to kind of show a tool like, oh, you have to use this. No, I'd rather show the methods that you don't have to pay for an expensive tool. But at the same time, it does have a lot of cool features. Honestly, it's if you can afford it and you want to try it out, yeah, it's great. Do you have to use it? Nope, not at all. So, yeah, there's no need to do it. Let's see. My Twitter just got deleted with all my art. Oh no! Oh, that sucks. I wish that when they did that, they could at least allow you to, like, back everything up and just go, okay, it's gonna get deleted, but we'll give you a chance to to get everything off. At least. I'm gonna close the mouth here just a little bit, because I want the contrast in the mouth as well. We'll see. I might change my idea later on. I might even close the mouth completely here. Essentially, like I said earlier, I want that contrast. So we kind of close it and then open it up really big there. I might even change this expression here. We'll see. Okay. So we've got that. And suddenly that makes the character feel a lot more alive. Just having these three expressions in here. It's not perfect, but as a first pass, this one's definitely the weakest. It's getting there. Yeah. Okay. So, let's get the rest of the face kind of blocked in here. Now, there's a few different ways I can do this. Essentially, the big thing with the face is that it doesn't really move that much. When we get into a facial pose, it's not like we're wiggling around and changing all the time. It's going to change at certain moments very quickly. So I'm looking that way, not changing too much, and blink, look that way. The expression change happens in that transition or before or just after. So I don't need to like animate every single moment of this face. So what I'm going to do is essentially just copy the pose. So it just holds one pose and then it'll switch and then hold one pose and then switch all the way through. So right here, I want to figure out, okay, when does this pose hit of the face? Probably, it should probably hit around here. Yeah, because the transition, I'm trying to think, when would the eyes dart over? So she goes, she's doing this. She goes through, and then it would go, whoop, and then look over the other way. So I think here on frame 21 is still going to be on this facial pose. We'll see how it goes. So something like that. And then, dook, like that. And let's copy 21 to 25. Yeah. That's going to have to be a blink, and then it'll open up here, I think. But I think that timing-wise works decently. So I'm just going to copy that over to all the poses. So now we get this. Looks over. Now I'm going to start backwards because I have this on the last frame. She hits that pose, and we want that to hit probably around 73. And then hold there. We're going to adjust the curves and whatnot so that it kind of explodes out. But she does this, transitions over, probably holds until 41. We'll probably need another facial pose right here. 29, 41, or 45. We'll go there. Okay, 29, doop, 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 45. Now it holds there. There's going to be a transition, and then ta-da! So now we're getting this. And you can see how like very fast transitions, it still works really well. As long as the face isn't like sliding around, you can get away with very quick transitions with the face. I almost wonder if this moment here, as she comes through here, I could almost like close the eye almost like she's just listening to music and like enjoying the dance, and it opens up. That might be a fun way of really pushing that pop open there. That face is gonna need a lot of work from this angle. It's happy-ish here, and then at this point it looks very nervous. Let's see. So she's looking that way. She's gonna come up and then you get that transition right there. Okay, let's kind of use this pose as a base because this is where she kind of holds for a little bit in this section. So I want to make sure that the face looks good from this angle right here. So let's see. Honestly, we can do whatever we want. There's no bad choices. Well, there are some bad choices, but essentially the biggest thing is what's going to be the most dynamic. What's going to make this character feel really fun to watch? And let's see. What would be... I kind of want to do eyes closed just because I think it'll be really nice to contrast. I was wondering what to do if you don't, or if you can't spend too much time in front of a screen without getting dizzy when you have to work on animation. I've seen a doctor about it, but they haven't figured out the reason behind it yet. That's tough. Whenever you have like something like that, it's very hard to work. Cameron had that for a while. He got hit in right in the corner of the eye with a picture frame. It just fell from the ceiling or from the wall and hit him right there. Luckily, it didn't hit him right in the eye itself, but it damaged a nerve in his eye for a while. And he had a hard time looking at a screen because it would just give him really bad migraines. And essentially, there's a few things you can do. You can try to use yellow glass or blue light glasses. So I actually have a pair right here. I don't wear them normally because when I'm on camera, they reflect all the lights in my room. But these are basically just yellow tinted glasses that block the blue light from your monitors, and it kind of makes it a little easier to look at the monitors for longer periods of time. You can go through your computer settings, and I believe on Windows, let's see. Like for example, on Windows, there's a night light setting right here. So if you just turn this on, let's see. I don't know if that's coming through on the screen on the capture, but it turns the screen more yellow. So if I really turn this up, I don't know if that's coming through or not. Probably I'm just... Okay, yes, it does. So you can see how yellow the screen is there. It's just like tinting the whole thing. That can help reduce that glare. It's that blue light. Blue light is really bad for the eyes, and like it puts a strain on there. What else can you do? Try to take a lot of breaks. So just make sure to get up often. Oh, it doesn't. I thought you were talking about the window. Okay, dang it. So you have to take my word for it. The whole screen basically turned yellow. It's like nighttime or like a sunset yellow. So you can use that. So yeah, that 20-20-20 rule, that's very good. 20 minutes, you spend 20 seconds looking at something 20 feet away. That's really nice. Or just get up and take a walk. That's also good to stretch your legs. And then I usually, when I'm working on long projects, I will make sure to get up every 20 or 30 minutes and then take 5 minutes to just walk around, stretch, just get a little bit of, I don't want to say exercise, but make sure that I'm not stuck in front of the computer. And that really helps to just keep me from feeling like really just tired of sitting in front of the computer all day. So things like that can help. What else? What else can make a big difference? Glasses, take breaks, the yellow light. Make sure that you have neutral colors. So, for example, this is a nice thing that I don't do this too often, but this is something that was taught to me by someone who does a lot of color design on their computer. Don't have colorful backgrounds on your monitors. Just put a default gray color, like a neutral gray. It makes it so that your eyes don't get strained as easily. Also, when you're doing color design, the colors don't mess you up when you're trying to get good colors on your program. So yeah, me too. I have too many fun photos. Every desktop, well, you can see it's like, this is my Cintiq. It's really colorful. I like having colorful backgrounds. But yeah, it can help just reduce the things that are making you dizzy or making that strain on the eye. And that's really the goal, is trying to find all of those little things that will make using the computer more accessible to you, without hurting your vision or your head and getting migraines and stuff like that. That's the last thing you want. So as I'm posing this out, I'm just going to explain what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the reverse curve in the eye here. This is going to help make her feel happy. If the eye is angled so it's kind of down, so let me actually draw this out here. So if you have the eye closed naturally, the eyes naturally close angled down like this, which makes the character look like they're blinking or their eyes are closed. But they don't look happy. So if I add like a little smiley face right there, it looks tired. Even if I kind of push the brows here, it's almost like enjoying a nice little nap. Instead, if I curve the eyelids up slightly, something like this, now the character feels much happier. You get a nice little happy feeling to the character. So that's what I'm aiming for. Now the tricky part is different rigs work differently on how you can get that shape. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that without like fighting a whole bunch of controls. So something like that. Let's push the brows up a bit. I'm not a fan of how much eyelid I'm getting here, so I'm gonna just try. Just see. No, I definitely want the brows up here. Okay. Let's see, I wonder if there's a control that I can reduce that amount of motion there. I can move the eye up and down. I wonder if maybe... Oh, interesting. Oh, let's try this. I'm gonna reset the eyes here. Nope. Nope. Don't want that. Okay. So apparently this eye, if you take the eye control here and scale it, you can just affect the eyelid. So what I can try to do is bring this down a little bit, scale it, and then, yeah, that's better. So see how now the eyelid isn't just huge right up there, that upper edge there? That's what I was trying to get. Then we can push that there. Let's reset this eye as well. This is the fun part about, well, some people like it, some people hate it. I don't mind it. I actually kind of like this kind of stuff where you're working on a rig and you need to kind of figure out, how does it work? Which controls do I use? I like that kind of stuff because it's just kind of this fun exploration, this back and forth. It takes a while, but you find all sorts of cool little secrets. So we're gonna do that. Definitely gonna need some refining on the eyes there. The other thing that's gonna help is getting the mouth in place. The mouth is going to be one of the biggest things whenever you're posing out a character. Pushing that mouth offset and then scaling it up or down, it's huge. Don't underestimate how much this can really push your posing. Okay. So at this point, I'm just trying to figure out, do I want the mouth to be closed here? Or do I want it to be open? Let's see. I'm going to use this mouth kind of as a base to work off of. Let's make sure I don't select any other controls. Boop. Just select the mouth right there. And I'm copying to frame 65. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to use this as kind of a guide to start with, and then that way we can kind of just open it up a little bit and make it a little bit bigger. So what I'm thinking is, just to offset things, originally my thinking was, oh, I'll take this and I'll have the mouth closed and the eyes closed just for the sake of contrast. The problem with that, though, is everything closes on this at the same time. So instead, if I have the eyes closed here and the mouth open, but then go here and have the mouth closed, we offset that. So right here, let's kind of reset the mouth here, and I'm just gonna see quickly how that feels. So let's take this and this, reset that rotation, reset this, reset that one. So something like that. So now we get a little bit more contrast. Open mouth, then the mouth closes, then the eyes close and the mouth opens, and then we get really big. So it just kind of puts a little bit of visual interest in there. See, now I know why my color palette is gray. It's why most programs now, if you remember older programs, Photoshop, Maya, lots of programs were white for a long period of time. Premiere, all the interfaces were kind of white or even this kind of beige color. They were colorful interfaces. And then suddenly all the interfaces went gray and black. Is because it's less hurtful on the eyes. You can look at this for a lot longer. And even the background here, oftentimes I don't use the color gradient. I'll do something like this dark gray, because it's just less color that my eyes have to deal with, and it puts less strain on my eyes. It's not as interesting to look at, it's kind of dull. So the blue here is just a little bit more fun. But yeah, saving your eyes is really good. What kind of dance is this? It's, for lack of a better term, it's a TikTok dance. It was basically just some images I found online of this dance, and then I tried to kind of recreate it a little bit. So yeah, it's not a really specific dance. If anyone knows it or knows what the original source was, definitely let me know. It's just some random images I found. So electric slide, it's more just kind of a little hop. Adding that face adds so much. This is one of my favorite moments of animating, is when you start getting the facial animation in and it's just like, yay, the character's feeling alive, versus what they were looking at like before, and it's like, okay, they're moving. And that's all you can say about it. But yeah, they're moving. Yeah. Great. Okay. And Tara, hey, thanks for the reminder. And also, hello. Let's see. Hope it's not too much to ask, but could you help me check my shot? It's getting late over here, so I'm just going to get some feedback before going. Definitely. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to double check something. Post the link and I'll open it in just a second. I just want to double check my posing, and I think I need to push the eye shape here a little bit more. Why have you erased the down teeth? Because normally seeing both sets of teeth is weird. And this goes for, like, this is a more cartoony shot, but even in more realistic shots, seeing both sets of teeth tends to look weird. It feels uncomfortable, and it's just kind of a human instinct, is when we see the bottom and top teeth at the same time, it looks like people are snarling. It's like, like that. If a person smiles, usually because the mouth goes up when you do that, you only tend to see a little bit of the top teeth. You'll see a little bit of the bottom in real life, but in animation we can exaggerate that and make it just a little bit more visually appealing and like push that graphic design element of it. Okay, that eyelid needs to come down here. I definitely need to push the center eyelid shapes here as well. Kind of push that curve in there. Now, one thing, when you're dealing with eye shapes and face shapes, there's so many of these controls here. It can be very overwhelming, and it's like, oh, I don't want to counter animate anything. How do I animate all of these and not like mess it up? All of that stuff. Honestly, you don't have to be too careful about it. The big reason being, face shapes tend to hold for a long period of time and then change very quickly. So worst case scenario, if I counter animate something on the face, I might have 3 or 4 frames that I have to kind of fix, and then that's it. So for me, I don't worry too much about... Okay, good. We can push that lower crease. I don't worry too much about that counter animation aspect of it. There you go. Really push that. That's going to help a lot. And then upper crease. Okay, so I could have used that as well. Okay. I guess I didn't move it enough. I thought I had tried it, but it didn't seem to do anything. Oh well. That works. Okay. I think this pose is working pretty good here. Let's go back into this a little bit. And if you have any other questions on dialogue, definitely let me know. Okay. So let's take the face here, and I'm just going to copy this over onto 69. And then we get that. And then I'll probably want the eyes to close probably around 50... 53? Yeah, I want it to happen before she moves up. I want the facial change to happen before the quick motion. So I'm thinking around 53. we'll see. So we'll try this. Oh, and make sure I select the eye controls too. That'll be helpful. So copy that over. Then closes her eyes. Let's copy that over. Oh, one more. Wait, I copied the wrong pose. Copy. Interesting. Why am I not keying? Face. Controls. Okay. Take that. There we go. I don't know why I wasn't copying. So it comes up, closes, opens up. This pose, I think I need to close the face a little sooner because now her face is passing in front of camera and it would need to be closed before then, I think. Yeah. So something around there. So I think this is the timing for the facial animation. So we're going to get something... no, those eyes close a little too soon. It feels kind of weird. So let's go one more frame there. Yeah, that's a little better. There we go. So at this point, we've blocked out the face. We've found out the ranges of motion we need. Now I just need to kind of animate certain things. Since we're animating on 4s, it's not going to be too much that we need to do, but we still need to push it a little bit. Get some blinks in there. Let's see. So for 2D, do you recommend using our own characters for the portfolio so that it isn't recognizable? No, you could use any character you want. That's the glory of 2D is you can draw anything. If you want to animate Darth Vader doing a line, you could do that as long as it fits. Like that would be a hard one to get a character to work well. But you don't have to use like a character that's always original. You can use other characters. I would just make sure that, again, the more, like, let's say you use popular 2D character. Let's say you draw Aang from Last Airbender or Korra. The moment you do that, people are going to compare your drawings of Aang and your animation of Aang to the original, which means that you're going to invite much more scrutiny of, okay, are they making really good animation? Does it live up to the original source? Yes or no. If you use an original character and have them do the same thing, there's less comparison. So your work tends to stand out on its own. So you don't have to, but it invites less like, oh wait, what are the differences? Now, just out of curiosity, I want to turn the hair back on here. Just to see, okay, where's the hair? Here. How she looks with the hair. Okay, not bad. The bangs definitely hide the brows, which is not a bad thing. Once we animate the overlap, it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, let's turn that hair back off because it gets in the way. And at this point, we can start to animate some stuff. So essentially what I'm going to do is I need to find where the character is going to blink. So she's going to come through here, blink, and then... So this eye dart here, I want to have a blink in there on this turn. And I'm thinking it's going to be up here and then blink on the land. So let's close those eyes there. I'm going to try to close the eyes using the other controls that I found out after, so I'm not going to try to scale these. So eyes are always horrible when you've got them posed out and then you go for a blink pose. They always look so bad. Like the character's half drunk. Okay, really make sure that we get that nice seal on the eye. Don't want to see any pupil under there. So, get something like that. Okay. So, we've got that. And then I'm going to use the top here, upper crease. Yeah, that's much easier. So let's lower that. Upper crease. Let's see. There, and then the lower crease, that's going to be the really important one, because that's going to be what makes her feel like really tired. If we have too much lower crease, like it's just hanging down, it makes it look like she has bags under her eyes. It's not much, but let's zoom in here. See right there? We want to bring that up. Okay. So now we get that blink and then open up. As she blinks, let's bring the brows down. Now, I'm going to see how far I can bring these down. I want to still feel happy, but I want to really kind of push that compression so we can kind of feel it pop back up there. I think that's a little too low. It kind of makes it feel like she's... It doesn't feel like a natural blink. It feels like she's compressing her eyes too much. So we'll kind of push it this way. And we open that up again. On this transition, I could start closing the mouth, I guess. So that way it's closed here. Or I could close it all the way. Yeah, I think I'm going to close it at least most of the way. Select all these. Basically, the reason I want to close it all the way is I want to offset the mouth so that the eye is closed, the mouth is closed, and then the eyes open, the mouth stays closed. If I keep the mouth a little open, then we get this kind of switch where the eyes, they open and the mouth closes, so you get this kind of switch right there, which might feel a little weird. And then let's kind of push that out just a little bit, and maybe we'll kind of shape the mouth just a little bit more on this one frame. So it just closes and then kind of settles into a little bit more of a flat line. We just have a little bit of a transition there. And let's try to add a little bit more. Oops, wrong control. I want a little bit more like roundness to that mouth. If we don't, it kind of starts feeling a little like sneery. So I want to exaggerate this. Really feel like there's that smile in there. Okay. Now the other thing I can do is as she's coming up here, this can be where the mouth starts to close. So now we get that mouth closing, it closes, eyes open. So everything's offset a little bit. So we're going to keep that open just a little bit. It's also going to help, like we can repose the mouth here a little. Get rid of that gum. And essentially, let's pinch the corner of the mouth here. So something like that, and then same thing on the other side. So you get a little bit of that shape right through there. There you go. So we get that. As she drags back here, what I can do is add some drag to the brows. So as she comes back, it's almost like her face is stretching a little bit. So I can just take my brow controls here and let's kind of bring them up. So as she comes back, we're just ever so slightly pulling those. So that way when she gets over here, we really feel that contrast where it's up and then you feel that pop down of the brows. So it's adding a little squash and stretch to the face. Even the mouth, as she's coming through, maybe we have the mouth start opening up just a little bit here. Just a little. Before then she closes her mouth. So it's just contrasting that motion. Now here her eyes open up. Even though we're animating on 4s, I can take the eyelids and I'm just gonna close them a little bit right here. That way they open and then we get that full open there. So it's not just open and full 100% eyes staring into your soul. I can even maybe do it a little bit here where we just get a scooch of the eyelids starting to close here. And then let's kind of bring this a little lower here. So something like that. And even here, I could maybe tone that down. So we get something like that. And let's take our upper crease, maybe bring that down a little bit so it doesn't feel like it's too big there. Okay. So we're starting to get that. As she comes through here, this pose definitely needs a lot of work. Because she's rotating, we've got this kind of 2D pose. It's just not working in our favor. So I'm going to have to think of how I want to transition that. So she comes through, looks through. Okay. Let's see how it feels so far. It's not bad. That blink is a little off. There's something about it. I know what it is. The eyes are easing too much now. So here, this is a little too low. Just bring that back up a little bit more. It made it feel like the eye is just slowly rising up instead of blinking. A blink is fast, and then it eases quite a bit there. Okay. So, comes through and, oops, what happened? Okay, let's start working on this transition here. So she's going into this blink. Great. That's what we want. I think we can push the eyelids a little bit more here. Try to push that shape of the lid. Make it a little rounder, a little happier. Makes it feel like she's laughing a little bit more. Okay, so this pose is pretty good. As she comes up, I think we can maybe keep the mouth closed a little longer. Or maybe, let's see, as the eyes close, can I do a double jaw motion? Is that going to feel weird? So I'm thinking, do I open the mouth twice? So opens and then opens again? Or do I save it? I kind of like it. It kind of creates a little bit of overlap in the jaw. So it kind of starts small, opens up, and then closes back up again. Right there. Okay. So she blinks. The brows would need to be a little lower here. Kind of help push that blink. And let's try to push this one a lot here. That way we really like get that. It's almost like she's laughing, just like when you're cry laughing. I kind of want a little bit of that energy in there. We kind of get that in there, and then boom, there we go. Okay. Okay, that's not too bad. This pose here, I'll need to push my eyelids. So make sure I have those, and I'm just going to copy the pose. This is the great thing about facial animation, is you can just copy a lot of things over, and it really doesn't affect too much. And actually, I want to make sure I don't copy the brow. That'll help. So, boop, copy over, and then there we go. She comes up here. This is feeling pretty good. Maybe I'll open the jaw just a little bit more here. It closes as she comes down. Okay. So, overall, this is working pretty well. It's the simple moment right here. I could maybe push the brows up a little higher here, overshoot them, so they shoot up. Right here, shoot up, then settle. And we're going to push one brow more than the other. So, up and settle very slightly. And then we can shoot them back up again. Now, right here, this is the transition we need, is this pose. What's happening? Well, she's going to start to blink for one, so the eyelids are going to start to close. So let's get that in first. Probably somewhere around there. So eyelids blink, and then push down. If I'm having those brows like really compressing, I'm going to see if I can start them early. So it's kind of almost like the brows are pushing the eyes down. Right through here. Maybe not quite so low. And really just try to keep that happiness in there. So we really exaggerate that. Let's get the brow crease to not be too much there. Okay. Offset the eyes a little bit. Now the big thing here, and this is going to be the tricky one. Okay, I'm going to definitely have to push those. Is the mouth and the eyes. So the mouth, I think the big thing is, see how the mouth is moving screen right, screen right. Here, I need to keep moving it screen right, even though the face is turning. So keep that mouth moving. Subtly. And then on this one, just switch sides. Like that. And then I think... Do I want to have the mouth start to open up here just a little bit? Just kind of in the corner here. Yeah. I wonder if maybe I can... I'm just going to try. I'm going to narrow it down. It's almost like there's this like little inside joke and she's like trying to keep from laughing. And I try to exaggerate that. So that way the mouth kind of pops open there. And maybe we'll move the mouth up just a little bit as well. And then kind of do the same thing here, where that mouth starts to close just a little bit more. So that way we see that contrast where the mouth kind of blows up. Push that offset in the mouth. Same thing here. Push that offset. Definitely the eyes feel very strange right there, which I'm not a fan of. I wonder if... I don't have the controls for it. I wanted to see if I could get a little bit more of the... Is this control gonna do it? The pinch in the corner, in the mouth here. That's not gonna do it. Oh, I have too much fun. Let's see. I want to see if I can really exaggerate the lips. Yeah, kind of like it's just for one frame, but like I about to laugh. I probably have to turn on the other mouth controls. Let's see if I can do something here. I want to see if I can get the just a little bit of a... Nah, it's gonna be too fast for that. Okay. So we'll go with that for now. Now for the eyes. How can I get the eyes to look less... Like right now she just looks tired and kind of like she's... It feels like she's like almost falling asleep, which I don't want. So let's try this. Let's bring the brows up. That'll give more energy to the character. We need to offset them. Which way are they going? Okay, this brow should be a little lower. The eyelids, let's push the lower lids up a little bit. So that's going to make her feel a little bit more like she's laughing versus just tired. And then let's bring the upper lids up just a bit more. Something like that. So we're still shaping them, but trying to avoid that flat top there. And Broken Tangent, hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. How's the streams? How have the streams been? I keep wanting to jump in. So for anyone who doesn't know, Broken Tangent is another awesome, or I should say another awesome, because that implies that I'm awesome. No, he's an awesome streamer. I'm the weird one, the gremlin streamer. Broken Tangent is an awesome streamer. He does a lot of cool animations. Definitely check him out. There's a link down below. Check out his stuff. It's really cool. I haven't had a chance to drop in your streams, but I wanted to ask, what days do you usually stream? I seem to remember getting notifications on Saturdays. Is that correct? Is that when you usually host your streams? I want to jump in more streams if I can in the near future. I miss it too much. Let's round out those eyes just a little bit. And BMC, hello! How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. I'm not a huge fan of this facial pose. It's kind of an in-between, so I don't need to get it perfect. But I definitely want it to feel a little bit more energetic than this. This is feeling tired. And part of that is the shape of the eyelids. So I'm going to just try to push this. Get that energy in there. Open up that top lid so it's rounder. And maybe not quite as low still. So something more like that. We feel the eyes compressing, but it's not taking away the energy. Streams are going well. Nice. Working on learning how to make a full animation set for a character and getting them into Unreal. Nice. That's awesome. I definitely have to drop in there because I've been wanting to do more Unreal stuff in the near future. So I would love to see what your process is and see if I can learn some stuff. Try to stream on Friday, Saturday. Okay, that's what I thought. I knew Saturday, or at least I thought Saturday. I'll have to definitely try to jump in if I can. And money makes the world go round. Hello, hope you're doing well. I think we've got the face pretty much done. I kind of feel like this is a little slow here. And I think partially it's the brows, I think, can drag up a little bit more here. So I'm actually going to try this. I'm going to copy the pose previously to the brows and make sure that it actually copied. I don't think it did. Nope, wrong control. Do. Copy that over. Okay, yeah, it is copied. And then I'm going to just raise it up so that the brows kind of hit a little stronger here. Maybe we'll just actually lower it a little bit. Kind of keep that center up a little bit more so it hits a little stronger. And then on this pose, let's see if we can push the brows down even more. So just let them keep going down and then shoot up. Too much. There we go. So something like that is decent. I definitely would want to offset the brows. So for example here, let's kind of push this one brow up a little higher to offset the motion. And then let's make sure it stays connected. There we go. See. Friday, I think I'm supposed to be doing something. Oh yeah, prep row stream. Justoni, how's it going? Hello. Let's see. Sadly not this weekend though. Wedding anniversary today, followed with my oldest kiddo's birthday. Oh, that's awesome. Congrats. Happy wedding anniversary, and also happy birthday to your kiddo. That's awesome. Yeah, sadly not this weekend. You've got better things to do. You've got to spend time with family and loved ones. That's awesome. I'll definitely try to jump in next week if I can. But I hope you have a good day and spend some time with family. Get a little bit of that relaxation in there. Let's see. I think that's, for now, we can call it kind of done for the face. There's a few things that I want to tweak, but at the same time, I also want to make sure that I'm not like nitpicking. So I want to kind of take a step away from the face for just a second. But I think we've got a pretty good transition. I do feel like it's a little slow coming down right here, but it's not bad. I also have to keep in mind that I'm going to retime some stuff, so I don't want to spend too much time trying to fiddle around with the timing of the face just to find out that, oh, I retimed the body and everything else, and now it's all gone. But we now have that. So let's actually, I'm going to turn on the hair just so we have the hair back on. So we've got this animation now. So just to kind of compare, let's look at this. And let's turn on the resolution gate. There we go. So this is with the facial expressions now. Let's actually look at what we had previously. So this is where we started from earlier. The face makes a big difference. With the without the face, so for anyone who's like especially starting your body mechanics assignments and you're doing a pantomime and you're trying to get all of this body mechanic stuff in and you haven't touched the face, keep in mind that the face will almost always make your shot look really bad if you haven't touched it and you just leave it at the default. Like you can see here, it's the body motion. We did tweak some stuff, we refined some stuff, but there's not a huge difference in the body. But the animation as a whole feels really dead here. It just like, it's bland. It just feels lifeless. And part of it is the character has huge eyes, so our eyes are drawn to it, and they're just flat and expressionless. There's no contrapposto, no line of action, nothing. Everything is flat. So when we pose that, suddenly that character feels alive. And we didn't do too many poses. Literally, this is what, 4 poses? Like just 4 main poses and then some in-betweens to kind of soften the transitions. We've got pose 1, which needs a little bit of work now that I look at it. The eye is a little off. Pose 2, right here. Pose 3. Pose 4. 4 poses with slight transitions, and the shot looks alive. So at this point, we're pretty much good to go. The next thing that I'm going to have to do is start animating the overlap, as well as retiming some stuff. Now, we could probably try to retime some stuff right now. Let's see, let's make sure I have everything selected. You know, I just realized I haven't done any of the bend bows of the legs. I'm gonna have to do that as well. Like right here, I could really push that bend bow in that leg there. Really help sell these graphical shapes, especially on these transitions here. But let's see if we can retime some stuff. So, I'm gonna do this quickly. I'm not gonna spend too much time fighting this. So if we look at this, I'm going to look at my play blast instead of the Maya viewport, because this is the true timing of the shot. Maya is not going to be speeding up or slowing down. So what I kind of want is, I want the whole thing to be a little faster. So just as a test, this is something I highly recommend everyone does with their shots. When you are playing your shot, try increasing the speed. Play blast it, and if your video player has it, increase the speed. So I'm just going to increase the speed here. So now it's 1.25 times the speed. And doesn't that look a little bit more dynamic, a little faster, a little bit more interesting than before when it was kind of slow? Most of the time when we start blocking a shot, it's going to be slower than we actually want it to be. Yeah, the feet feel snappier. Everything just kind of has that like, just a little bit extra oomph to it. So let's actually speed this up again. This might be a little too fast now. Yeah. So now it's feeling a little too fast in most cases because we're not reading the holds anymore, but it still feels really snappy. It's like, it kind of has this a little bit more of a interesting timing, especially that little jump at the end, that of the feet. They just feel more interesting. Let's go back to our regular speed. So playback speed, normal. Ugh. Doesn't it feel slow? And it's like, really? This is what we've been looking at the whole time? Ugh. When you play blast something, you can do this in Sync Sketch. You can do it. This is Keyframe MP. It's a free, you can use this. It's a free program for framing through animation. Those are the words I'm looking for. Speed up your video. See how it feels. More often than not, you'll find that you can probably speed your shot about 1.25 to 1.5 times faster, and it still looks really good, and it's just more dynamic. The one exception to this is dialogue shots, because you have to match the dialogue, or let's say this was a dancing scene, and we need to match the beat of the song. We can't really just like speed it up and the song is going to change. It's not going to hit the beats anymore. So those are the only exceptions. But when you're doing body mechanics, this can really help push up your spacing and your timing. So how can we speed it up 1.5 times? There's a few different ways we can do it. So the quick, easy way, if we wanted to just scale the whole thing, is take all of your keys right here, and then you can just take your time. So this is the time bar here, and go times equals, and then, well, actually we want to scale it down. So we'll go divides equals 1.5. And let's see what keys. I think I have keys that I can't move here. So let me double check. Yeah, I think I've got some controls that shouldn't be keyed here. Let me double check. Okay, so we'll take that and then try again. So divide equals 1.5. And I should have saved before I did that. That would have been the smart thing to do. Let's hope it doesn't crash. I always forget, like once you're done, before you retime anything, always save, because it's, there you go. So there you go. You can see it shrank down. Oh, no worries. It's not, that's on me. I just always forget to do that. So now the whole animation is faster, more speedy. Done right there. So we can just do the whole animation globally, just like that. I don't want to do that though. I want to speed up certain sections and have keep some of the holds as holds. This way we don't lose the kind of consistency as we had before. And does it snap the keys to a hold number? No. So once you do that, you'd have to snap your keys, which is just selecting your timeline right here, right click, snap. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to undo. There we go. Now I'm going to save. There we go. Why do I always forget to save before I do something that's like potentially or has the potential to just explode my scene? You'd think I would have learned 10 years of this. Nope. Who needs to save? So the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to speed up certain sections. So as I'm looking at this, let's actually look at the... Oh, I closed off my keyframe MP. Let me open that up again. So I want to pick moments to speed up and be a little bit more dynamic. So for example, here, I want this to hold. I want her to come up, hold, and swoop through again. So I'm probably going to speed up the beginning here a little bit. Speed up this moment here a little bit. And then at the end, I really like the speed of that of the feet. So I'm going to speed that section up a little bit there. So we have a few ways we can do this. We can move keys in our timeline. We can move keys in our graph editor. We can move keys in our dope sheet. But one tool I really like is the retime tool in Maya. So you can find this right here. Is the retime tool in the graph editor. And this will basically allow you to select a range of keys and basically retime them in a more intuitive way versus just clicking and dragging to select all of them. So let me actually deselect there. So let's say I want this first section here to be a little faster. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click for my first bar there. This is going to be my range markers. And then the next section, so it's going to go right up to, let's see which pose, maybe right around here. I'm going to click on this next marker, and what I can do with this is just click and drag, and you'll notice that it retimes the middle section between those two markers and adjusts all my animation for me after the fact. So I can just do this and I can start retiming. Now the other nice thing is it's just allows you to quickly adjust things. The problem though is it doesn't snap the keys for me. So I'm gonna have to be very careful of that. So it's the one negative is you're still gonna have to snap the keys yourself afterwards. But I can take this and let's say I wanted to make it just a little faster. So right now, this key here is on frame 17. So that's about 16 frames for this whole section here. I don't want to go half or like double speed. So that would be frame 8. But maybe somewhere in between. So 16 frames. Let's go frame 13. Scale that down about to that range there. I'm going to snap the keys later. Actually, did it snap for me? Oh, nice. It does snap. Hey! That's awesome. So they updated it. It snaps. Woo! Even better. So we got that. Oh, snap. Yeah. So that motion there is faster. I feel like this is probably going to have to be a little faster right here. So this one, I'm just going to grab all of this and move one frame, I think, for now. So that's a little faster. Hold right here. Here, let's hold. And then let's actually start speeding up there. So from here to about there, we'll see how this feels. We're going to shrink that down a little bit. So right around there. It goes fast, holds. Now this section here. So let's add some new markers. Doot. From there, I want that fast switch in the legs and then hold a little bit more at the end. So this whole section here, let's bring that down. Ooh, that might be a little too much. About there. So we'll see how this feels. It might be totally off. So now we get fast, slow, fast. Okay, it holds a little bit too much in the middle, right here. Right in there. It feels like it's holding just a little too much. So I'm just going to speed this up maybe one frame. There we go. And see how that feels. If that snap fix is in 2020, yeah, I think so. Because I seem to remember it not snapping for me before, unless I don't remember correctly. I haven't used a previous version of mine in a long time, but that the retime tool, it's been around for a while. Okay, so it's always been snapping the timeline. Nice, that's even better. So yeah, just as long as you have the time snap turned on. Nice, that's really cool. Okay. Fast. Okay, I feel like I can push a little bit of hang time in here. There's kind of this pause right in there. It's almost like a hitch right in here. And I think it's because it slows down too quickly. So I'm going to take this here, just move that one frame so it slows down a little bit more before it comes in. Then here, let's speed this section up one frame. Comes through. Yeah, so something a little bit more like that. Okay, comes through here. This feels like you could be one frame shorter right there. Keep that momentum going. Then it comes through. And it holds there. Fast. Doot. Doot. And then this can stay slow. Actually, maybe this one frame faster. There. Okay, let's see how this feels. Yeah, I think that's not bad. We'll do a play blast and see how it feels. Compare it to the original. So 69, 73. So we just saved 15 frames right there. Now, to be fair, is this going to look good? Who knows? But it's still 15 frames shorter. So it's going to be a little bit faster. Oh, okay, good. Play blasting the right view. Okay. So, let's see how this feels. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Let's compare it to what it was before. Ugh, it's slow. Definitely feels slow. It's not bad. Like, that's the thing. It's all the same poses, it's all the same motion, but it's just slow and boring. When we speed this up, suddenly it just feels a little bit more alive, cartoony, and interesting. And there's a very specific reason for this. And it basically comes down to the psychology of motion and how we and our brains perceive motion. So if anyone's interested in this, we're going to go into the journey in the mind. So essentially what's happening is, if I was to base this on real reference, and I looked at some dance motions before and I kind of timed them out to a beat, and that's where I got this kind of original timing here, very roughly. So this is based on real world reference, timing wise. But it feels so slow and not dynamic. Why? Well, when we look at real motion, so real motion here, and I'm moving around, look at how much detail there is that your eye is capturing and looking at. You've got all the details in the background. You've got all the wrinkles in my shirt. As I do this, look at that. You see a line forming right there. You see all the lighting, the shadows changing as I move just that shoulder. As I move my head, all of this hair is going around and moving. You see all of that detail. You see all the grays in there, all the different elements. You see all the facial hair. You see the wrinkles, so many wrinkles. As I move my hands, look at all the detail in the hands. Like, just doing this, look at all those lines right there. You push it more, look at all that. Now, Do you consciously notice that when you're looking at someone? Are you going, oh, look at that wrinkle, look at that fold in the clothes, look at the hair, look at that specific hair strand? No. You just see the global motion. That's what our eyes are designed to do. They pick out the details that are important and kind of phase out the rest. What this means is that our brain is very active. It's taking all of this visual information and condensing it down to something we can register. Great. Now, we look at our animation. How much visual detail is there? There's nothing in the background. The floor is a solid color. The character, especially a character like this, is very 2D. So there's no lines in the face. There's one little line on the elbow here. The clothing have no wrinkles that are moving. It's very simple. So our brain takes this in, analyzes it and compresses it down and goes, ugh, there's nothing to look at. It's slow, it's boring. Because our brain it's used to seeing much more information than this. So when we rotoscope something, when we copy animation, the reason it will feel slow or like not interesting is because our brain needs more. So as animators, we could add more details. We could do that, but that takes a lot of simulation. It takes a lot of extra rigging. If you're doing it in 2D, it's going to take you ages to draw it all out. Or you speed it up. Since it's a simpler amount of animation, or sorry, simpler amount of information, by speeding up the animation, our brain processes it faster, and we still get that same interesting feeling because our brain is capturing it correctly. So normally, regardless of your animation, you're always going to try to speed it up compared to your video reference because our brain is capturing that information more quickly. So just something to keep in mind. Very rarely do you want to keep the timing and the kind of overall motion of our video reference. Even if you're doing something VFX style, like really realistic, you usually want to push it a little bit more because it's going to make our brain happier. It's going to make our brain more interested in looking at it.